Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Hilary DeCesare. We are going to be talking all about stepping into the power of possibility, which is something I am all about, and I am sure you are going to love today's conversation. So let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to dive right into all the good stuff. So Hilary is an award-winning entrepreneur, an international best-selling author, host of the reLaunch podcast, and she's a relentless philanthropist as seen on the ABC hit show Secret Millionaire. That's pretty fun. She is an innovator in neuropsychology as it relates to business and life. And after facing several setbacks herself, she's developed a unique process which helps people go from stuck on autopilot to creating a powerhouse of possibility in every aspect of their life. Hilary, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for our chat today.
Krista, it's going to be so good. And I just want to throw out there for the skeptics that are possibly like, oh God, here we go again. I'm literally here to tell you, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Yes, it's possible.
Okay, right there. There's the quotable from the episode. Yes, it's possible. We're like 1 minute in and she's already bringing the good stuff.
Yes, exactly. But I really do, because I think that people immediately go into their skepticism, right? They immediately are like, oh boy, here we go. Instead, it's like, okay, 30 minutes of goodness coming your way right now. What can you garner from this conversation? Everyone listening out there, let me tell you, grab your paper because we're going to go deep. This is all about you.
I love it. Absolutely. And so let's start with, what do people do if they do feel stuck on autopilot, right? What are some things that they can do to hit that reset button and step into possibility?
Yeah. So Krista, here's the thing. Today's world, the environment that we are going through has never been seen before. And as you know, my company is called the reLaunch Co. And what I am seeing in droves, and I said, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I have been in corporate for, 10 years in high tech, Oracle Corporation, Silicon Valley. I've had my own businesses. I've raised, almost $10 million for one of my companies. I've been in it. I'm a divorced, I was a divorced mom. I'm now remarried. I've got 3 kids, 2 stepkids, had melanoma. I mean, lost my mom, lost my dad all in the last couple of years. I get it. But here's the thing. Never in our lives right now have we seen relaunches in such a large scale. We've got global relaunches, meaning we've got pandemic, we've got war, we've got financial crises, we've got business relaunches with hybrid workplaces, we've had, the great resignation, or as I call it, the great revelation of like, what do you really want to do? What's that, what is going to light you up? And then we've got personal relaunches that are happening, and the personal relaunches that are happening are relationships. They're, what are you going to do work-wise? I just heard last week that over 70% of people on LinkedIn right now, crazy statistic, somebody I trust and value said this on a podcast, that 70% have switched jobs in the last 12 months. So we have all of these relaunches coming at one time. And you think about what we need so desperately is certainty in our life, and what we shy away from, get in fear base, is around uncertainty. So much uncertainty. What does that do to us? It causes us to be stuck. And so your question is, well, what do you do Well, first off, you realize that it's not the new normal we're dealing with. This is not normal. This is not what we know from the past. This is truly the new different. And once you are aware of that, once we can actually agree that things have changed dramatically, things are not going to go back to the way they used to be in many areas of your life, all three of these big relaunches, and you realize that never before have people all been on this same level of relaunching. Everybody is going through a relaunch. I don't meet one person, and I get a lot, well, Hilary, is this a pivot? And I said, a pivot is a change in direction. A pivot is when, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go left. I'm going to go right. A relaunch is when you literally stop right now and you say, you know what? The past is the past. We're not going back there. You release that. You're like, I can't change the past. I can't do anything about, what went right, what went wrong. But we can accept it for where we are right now and hit, the big red button that says reset. That's the first thing I want everyone to be willing to do, is say, at this point, stake in the ground, I'm hitting the reset button. And so that's where I want to start this conversation. We are all now open. I had a business called White Space Inc. with another fabulous gal. And I would go in, and this was after my, 10 years in corporate America. I would go in and I would say, write everything you can, executive, entrepreneur, CEO, write everything about your business on a whiteboard. And they would spend hours. We would go through each level. And then I would say, all right, anything else? I'd be like, maybe this, maybe that. Oh no, I think I'm done. I'd say, okay, now erase it. What? I just spent so long. Can I take a picture? Well, no, this is too good. And I said, no, only take now what you really believe will work in the future, and let's capitalize and leverage that. That's what we're doing right now. We're looking at those things about you that actually do work, and we're going to expand upon those to help you manifest the lifestyle of success and become, as you said, the powerhouse of possibility.
I love that. What an incredible and probably such a powerful and eye-opening exercise when people do that. But I can imagine that feeling of panic that they must have when they're like, I just wrote this all down and now I have to go erase it. What?
Oh yeah. Vulnerability. I think Brene Brown would say there's the beginning of vulnerability, right? Like, what? That was so good. I had it all down. But really, it's about, you have it all down, but now where's your intuition? Where's that trust? Where's the biggest tool you have in your tool belt? Your intuition, where is it telling you you need to go? Stop overthinking. Get out of your logical brain. Get out of conscious brain. Get back into subconscious brain. Tap into what is there. This I love to describe intuition in 3 different levels. You've got in the head, it's the knowing. Some of us just know, I just know that this is where I need to go. Some of us, it's in the heart, which is I have that feeling, I have that gut feeling. And then there's others that are really operating in that higher self, which is I have that sense that this is really, I'm going in the right direction. Well, one of the things that I share, as you said, that I'm a writer and an author of a book called reLaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. The most important concept in that book is a concept that I coined called 3HQ. And when you talk about IQ, right, 60s and the 70s, it's all about, how intelligent are you? How, that's how you get to be a great leader. You got to have the smarts, your problem solving, all that. Well, then all of a sudden in the 90s, it became all about EQ, emotional quotient. Are you an emotionally, empathetic leader? Well, in today's new, brave new world, it's all about 3HQ. And that is that ability to get out of your head, get into your heart, to access your higher self, your greater self, what's inside of you that you already can tap into that we haven't been doing. That's where the excitement comes. That's where change comes. That's where you no longer feel like, I'm stuck and I can't do anything. I'm frozen in time. I can't get past my comfort zone because it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be, when you're stuck, you truly have no forward motion, zero. And I guarantee you, right this second, I could say, nobody out there is truly stuck. Nobody. Because all we have to do is make one step today. And that step could be like, hey, I'm in a relaunch. Boom. You're no longer stuck. We can end this whole podcast right now.
All right, just commit to relaunch. We are good to go.
We are good to go. Pivots aren't going to work, everybody. Pivots are only going to get you, if you keep pivoting right, what are you going to end up doing? You're going to come back exactly where you are right now.
Well, I do think, there's those periods in our business where sometimes things start to feel a little off and we just need those small little 5-15 degree shifts. But then there's those times where we really do need more of that major relaunch. And I love the statistics that you shared because I know there's been a lot of it. I didn't realize there was quite that much of it. So that's quite eye-opening.
I was shocked when I heard that.
And for everyone listening, if you're feeling like you're in that place where you're beyond those small baby pivots and you are really ready for a relaunch, know that apparently so are a lot of other people. And why do you think some people will move forward and embrace this and step into it and leverage it to create their next chapter? And why will other people hold themselves back? What do you think keeps people from really committing to making a relaunch?
So, Krista, it's really super interesting. I've done a tremendous amount of assessment on topics like this, and I think I've spoken to, now I've interviewed almost 175 people that have gone through significant relaunch, and I have gone deep into what's different about them than others. And what I have found continuously is the people that are willing to accept that they're going through a relaunch, that are accepting where they are, but it's not defining them. It's not limiting them. Yeah, and I mentioned, a month ago I lost my dad. 2 years ago I lost my mom. All these different things. These are significant relaunches. I sold my house after 25 years of living there. I built the house with my first husband. I moved states. I mean, we're talking like massive relaunches. And I can honestly say, without a method called the relaunch effect, because it affects not only your personal, but your professional, you could have said, I could have been very much stuck with where I am. But here's the thing, when you can say that you still believe that there is something bigger for you, that you had at one point an image of where you were going to be at this point in your life. And what's happened is, when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling like, wow, I'm a total mess. I'm not good enough to have this now. I'm never going to reach this success. I want you to realize that where you are right now, and if you're disappointed by it, or if you don't feel like you're, good enough to keep going, we need to change. We need to change the story that's keeping you where you are right now. And the people who have truly had successful relaunches, been able to manifest additional success, even when they were down and out, even when they were going through one of the hardest relaunches of their lives, even when they were being, taken away and they've lost limbs, they've, had some of the most horrific things happen to themselves. They've, lost children, lost parents, been sick, and come back. There is that commonality that says, you know what? I can still gain clarity of where I want to go. I can still see what is potentially out there. And if you can see somebody else having that success in their business or their life, then there is nothing in the universe that is saying, hey, Chris is going to have that, but Hilary's not. Or, Jen's going to have that, but hey, Sally, sorry. It's all based around their mindset. It's all based around how they thought about it. And I would like to throw this out, because I actually just said this to a one-on-one client on Friday of last week. And it was pretty profound because they were so stuck in their way, they couldn't get through it. In this story, they're like, wow, that really changed my way around this topic. And so I said, when you think about people who have money, are they nice or mean? Are they nice or mean? Okay, so just think about that. Then, are people who have money good or bad? Are they good or are they bad? And some of you might be out there like, well, it's in the middle. Just try to just hear me out, right? Which way are you going? Because it's very interesting what comes to you first. Don't overthink it. And then what I said was this. Okay, do you know nice people who have money? Yes. Do you know not so nice people who have money? Yes. Do you know good people who have money? Yes. Do you know bad people who have money? Yes. And so I said, what's the formula for having a lot of money? And it was like, there is no formula. We just went through 4 different areas of those quadrants. There is no formula. So if there's no formula, what are people with money doing differently than people that aren't getting the money or staying stagnant in their businesses and can't reach from 6 figures to 7 figures or can't take it up that chain level? What's going on? It's the people who have had success, the people who have money, have a mindset that they can make money. That money is not scarcity. That money is not coming to them, that there's an abundance of money out there. That's what they have. And this is after literally talking to over 1,000 people on this subject. So if that's really the case, and we now know that good people, bad people, mean people, nice people have money, then it doesn't necessarily matter where you stand in one of those quadrants. You can get there. And I say, and hopefully you'll get there by being nice and by being good, right? And by being, by owning up to this, that, you can make differences. You mentioned Secret Millionaire and being on that show and giving back. And that's what it's all about. And that's where you start to, law of reciprocity, you give and you get. When you can go down that path, all of a sudden it's like, wow, things start to change, that you are truly your only limitation. That is the most powerful concept that you can embrace and hold to be true every single day when you're waking up. I am powerful because I get to decide, how am I going to show up? How are you going to show up today? It's a great way to start your day. You talk morning mantra, morning routines, just start with that. How am I going to show up today? Am I going to be, remember we talked about the 3HQ, get out of your head, into your heart, into your higher self. What's higher self? Higher self is your best self. And where you are when you are at your best is a high level of energy, higher level frequency energy. And we know definitively, neuroscience has shown, we know this to be true, that wherever you operate from, that's what you're going to attract. So all of a sudden, it sure makes that morning comment of, hey, what are you looking for today? What are you looking to get out of today? Wow. Then all of a sudden you're setting yourself up. And I mean, I could go into more detail of, what should you do at night too, but we have a lot to cover, but this is exciting. It's not a time to be stuck in your comfort zone. It's a time to push back past that comfort zone wall. And when you can do that, that's where your uncomfortableness, is that a word? Maybe that's where you become uncomfortable. And that's when change happens. I call it the G zone. The G zone is your genius zone, but it's your growth zone. It's your gratitude zone. It's your great zone. And how do we get there? We realize that when things start to get uncomfortable, we're pushing past our comfort zone. And that's uncomfortable because your subconscious wants to keep you exactly where you are right now, following every one of your stories, following every one of those pathways. It wants to keep you safe, familiar. Don't do that. Don't push past it. Oh, don't try that new morning routine. We're so used to doing these habits that good habits don't even, like, you can't even tell the difference of a good habit or a bad habit. Your subconscious doesn't know. It's just running on autopilot. So at this point, we need to reassess. How do we get to be that successful entrepreneur, CEO, executive? How do we do that? What are the steps to success? What are the habits? What do we need to do to truly get us on the path of being unstuck, to being fulfilled, to being like, yeah, I'm jamming right now. I've got sparks flying.
There was so much gold that you just shared there. I feel like you all need to go back and just re-listen to that again. um, but there was one thing that you said that I really, really love, and it's how am I going to show up today? And what I like so much about that is we all have good days. We all have bad days. There's things that happen. There's losses that we experience. There's health challenges that we experience. There's things in the world that can stress us out and that can be a bit overwhelming. But what I like about that question is you are making a decision how you are going to show up, and it has nothing to do with any of those external circumstances. It has nothing to do with whether it's a good day, a bad day, the best of times, the worst of times. You still get to decide and choose how you're going to show up today. I think that's so incredibly brilliant. I love that.
And there's so many morning routines that you can start with. But guess what? This is the one that you are in 100% control of. And so many of the others, there's dependencies. I want to, I want to go running this morning. And then all of a sudden something happens. It's raining, it's blah, blah. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen, right? I'm going to make a smoothie. I'm going to do this. And then you run out of the powder, or you run out of something. There's things that can happen. This one, no. This one is all about you. How am I going to show up today? How am I going to serve my, my clients, my audience, you have, and this is the one thing that I love to say, like, what do you really think you're in control of in your life? What do you really think? And you sit there and you're like, well, I'm in control of a lot of things. Really? Are you really? Or do things come in and happen, and you don't know what's going to happen in 1 minute. You don't even know what's going to happen in 30 seconds, but you have the ability to choose and know that you're choosing consciously and utilizing conscious, unconscious around your thoughts. And that's a beautiful thing. That's like the one thing that human beings get to do, that no other. We choose our thoughts, which means, yeah, there could be a lot of different things coming your way. Those 3 massive relaunches that I talked about: global, business, personal. But here's the thing. You can choose how you interpret every single one of those things that's happening. And when you start to choose, and I'm not expecting you to be Pollyanna and this is so great and everything is great. No, trust me. I believe that we have to go into and acknowledge, and it would have been disingenuous if when my dad passed away, he passed away around 1 o'clock in the morning. If I woke up and I'm like, woohoo, I'm so great, because I wasn't. And I gave myself the opportunity to be human, to go into my thoughts around. But instead of the sadness factor, I did choose that morning. He was being wheeled out of our house, and it was really beautiful because they ended up, the coroner came and realized he was a vet, and they put a flag over him and then played Amazing Grace as they wheeled him out. It was just beautiful. And I thought, I have the choice of how I'm going to look at today. And today I'm going to remember all the incredible. I'm going to literally go back in my head and remember all of the amazing things that we've done together, that he did for other people. And again, I didn't wallow in my own misery or my own sadness. It elevated me. And I was able to very, quickly start talking about like sharing. I wanted to share. Oh my God, I just remembered this story about him. And I'm saying this around that one situation, but you can do that around divorce. You can do that around sickness. You can do that around really any area. You have the choice to look at things good or bad. Like I talked to you about money, about wealth, about even the word rich. I often just throw that out and say, what are your thoughts around the word rich? And I can usually get to stories that were drummed up when you were young. And then I'm like, but what about a rich, decadent dessert? Is that bad or is that good? Because to me, that's really good.
I personally love the word rich. One of my core philosophies is that we should all live a rich, fulfilled life. And that's something I talk about a lot, but some people do very much react to the word rich in that statement. So people have really powerful reactions and responses to words. Sometimes it's really fascinating.
It really is. It really is. And another thing about the word rich is if you have a visceral reaction to the word itself, or, as you said, I call it the relaunch flip, right? You're changing what could be a negative and making it into a positive. So a rich life, all of a sudden, like who wouldn't want that? And I also look at when you have success, and you and I probably both have worked with people that have that. There's they're putting their own glass ceiling on their own success. And it's crazy, right? Some people are like, oh my gosh, who would ever do that? Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that have that reverse. And it's because, by going and by becoming rich, wealthy in that sense, it's somehow going against their family values or belief systems. And so they keep sabotaging and holding themselves back so they can't get to that next gate of revenue. And as soon as you realize that ultimately we're all here to serve, we're all here to help create, bring forth, something to others. And everything we're doing, every business, there's some form of that. And when you realize that, and the more that you can serve, the more you can help, the more that you can affect, all of a sudden that means, well, the more you have that you're helping, that means you're making more money. So the more money you're showing and proving to yourself that success is there, you're helping more. So I want to help more and more and more. And with that, the revenue starts to come. It's just so, like, I look at universal laws in that the 3 steps of the 3HQ and the higher self, and universal laws are so much about the higher self. And why are we not being taught? And I had a security company to keep kids safe online. And I worked a lot with school systems and trying to make sure kids were doing the right thing online. And so many times it's like, oh my God, what makes us kind of back into this idea that, we can't do it. We can't, like, it's just, it's the craziest thing. And there's so much potential if we can learn to use what is readily available to us. But yet we don't get that in school systems. We're never taught about, hey, let's really talk about laws of cause and effect. Let's really talk about law of reciprocity. Let's really talk about, all of these laws that are there, just like intuition. Stop forcing your intuition down. Stop saying it doesn't work. Stop saying, and I get that a lot. Well, I, once trusted my intuition and it let me down. And I'm like, wait, no, you interpreted it one way, it was another. So let's go back. Let's, again, white space board, clear it off. Start with your intuition today. Act like you're about to start to train for a 10K, half marathon, whatever you do. A 2K, whatever it is, walk around the block. But let's start right now with your intuition and just say, and if you're already highly, in tuned, awesome, we're going to take it to the next level. But let's just start by saying, okay, think about somebody and say, I want to hear from them. And let's just start with that easy one. One thing that you've been like, oh, I've been kind of thinking about that person. And let's just see what happens in the next 12 hours around that. Just think about that. Then let's start to see what else is coming to you. And it's like a muscle. And you have to acknowledge it. You have to be like, hey, that was really cool. Not, God, that was so weird. Push down, push down, push down. Instead, wow, that was super cool. I was just thinking about you. My intuition is kicked in, as Hilary said. And then once you start acknowledging it, it starts to happen more often and more often. And all of a sudden you become like, you are this beacon of light that's just like, it's just coming through you. And you're starting to be, I literally tell corporate sales organizations that this is the biggest untapped tool that we have in our tool belt of sales. Forget about all of the old, negotiation and spin selling and all these great, sales tactics. It's like, oh no. When I teach neuro sales training, it's like, this is it. Like, let's start leveraging what we have innately within us. Grow that, because that's going to be huge for getting you out to have more impact and helping you achieve that lifestyle of success, to become the powerhouse of possibility. But it's got to start. We got to spark that initial, dullness within us, right? I've been dull. I've been flamed out. I've been burned out. I've just, I haven't had, any type of fire in the belly in a long time. All right. How about this? I'm literally handing you that lighter, that one that's automatic, so you don't even have to spark the match, just the lighter. And people will be out there saying like, well, my lighter at home's empty right now. No, this one's full. This one is a full one. And you're just going to spark. You're going to spark yourself up. Boom, done. Consider it already done.
I love it. Now tell people more about you and the type of work that you do and where they can learn more about you if they'd like to explore some of the work that you do.
Well, right now, I just wrote this book, and it's reLaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. And it has, a lot of just amazing exercises you can do right in the book. You can find all the places to get the book. You can go to the relaunchco.com, relaunchco.com. And I have free workshops all the time on the 3HQ to help you just start down this process. So you can sign up, get on the wait list. If there's one coming up, which I know there always is, you can join that. And then I also have business courses to incorporate, the 25 plus years in business that I've been in, working an entrepreneur, working corporate, to get you to that level. Because it's not just about getting you to the level where, I've always wanted to be a 7-figure earner, 8-figure earner, 6-figure earner, whatever it is. I've always wanted to be there. And you get there and you're not satisfied with where you are. I haven't done my job. There's a lot more with 3HQ that helps you be able to incorporate it both personally and professionally. And so I have courses that help you get to that highest level, teaching you the core of what you absolutely need to do to truly scale your business. And then I do one-on-one for kind of that real, hey, I need to make it happen today. I want to meet with you. And so I work with all different types of people one-on-one as well.
Brilliant. And all of those links will be down below in the show notes. So please make sure that you check out Hilary and her absolutely incredible work. And before we wrap up, there's a question I ask everybody, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. And that is, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean in your business?
I am a huge proponent of working on your business, not just in, and I am also a proponent of put down, absolutely track it like you do if you're on a diet and you're tracking every ounce of food you're putting in your mouth. Track every single thing you do in your business for 1 week. Color code it in your calendar. Then look at what your week really looked at based on the colors, and do they map to your priorities? Let me tell you, it is eye-opening. It is truly eye-opening. And once you do that, then you can start to be like, okay, wait a second. Your priorities aren't in alignment with where you're going. Let's start over. I do goal setting very differently. I call them rocket goals. And that's how you get to your North Star. But you got to start somewhere. So I always like to say, hey, this is the place to start.
I love it. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. There is so much amazing gold that you shared in today's episode. I feel like we could just talk for days.
I
So,
agree.
everyone, please do check out her work and tell us really quickly about your podcast, really quickly, and where they can find that if they'd like to dive in and learn more and get more familiar with what you do.
Love that. It's called the reLaunch podcast, and it's pretty much available everywhere, everywhere you would ever go to a podcast. And I also have a radio show on Voice America called the reLaunch. And you can check that out. It's live every Thursday on Voice America at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So love when people, get on there and then they comment afterwards and come over and on our Instagram, the reLaunch Co., and share with us like, hey, this is my biggest takeaway. In fact, I would love everyone right now, before you forget, before you move on to the next thing, go over to Instagram, the reLaunch Co., and just say, hey, just listen to Krista and Hilary. This was my biggest takeaway. Super love hearing what did resonate with you. And I know, Krista, you're tracking that too. So we should compare notes, because that's what's really interesting is what did, there were a bunch of things we talked about, but what was that one thing? And what could be your domino where you push that one thing and it just lights up your being.
So many that could be the domino. I can't wait to hear what people have to share. So go check out Hilary. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. Thanks always for tuning in. We will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.